And I'm very conscious for all of you who are here from business and from partners that you're very much getting a local government perspective at the moment. But we felt this was really important, that you should understand how local government are trying to get their mind around this agenda and how we're sort of working individually. And perhaps at the end of this, one of the collective decisions will be how we actually start to come together to move the agenda forward. So 3 down, 3 more to go. And I'm starting with Councillor Emma Crane, who has joined us, who is the Rugby Borough Council member. And then we will invite Alan Reid, who's with us over there, and Ian Shenton to come from Warwick and from Stratford. And then finally we'll have Jim O'Boyle from Coventry City. So, Emma, do kick us off.
Thanks, Izzy. Well, hi everyone. It's great to be here today and to talk to you a bit about what Rugby Borough Council is doing to take climate action. The climate change challenge is absolutely huge, but it's one that we really, really need to tackle, and one that we're really excited about tackling at Rugby Borough Council. It's so important for our children and for our grandchildren and the future of our planet, and we've heard from young people today about how strongly they feel about this. So it's something that it's fantastic to see everyone coming together today to take action on it. I've put this picture in the slide, the Earth warming stripes, because I think it just demonstrates in one picture what we're up against. The red that you see is the warming over recent years, and you can see there's a huge proportion of warm days in the last decade and couple of decades. So I think it just visualises the challenge that we're up against. In Rugby, the approach we've taken is that there are many co-benefits to taking action on climate change as well. There are better health outcomes for residents, both physical and mental health. They will have better access to open spaces and nature. We'll have more trees, less pollution, warmer homes, cheaper energy bills, which in today's energy crisis will be so important. And it will also bring good quality jobs and skills to the area. So I've set out our net zero vision on the slide, and it's what we at Rugby Borough Council are all working towards. We've set an ambitious target of net zero by 2030 for the council, and this vision is going to guide all of the work towards achieving net zero over the coming years. And as well as recognising that it's a climate crisis, we also recognise that we're in the midst of a biodiversity crisis as well, with many species at risk of extinction in the UK. And we're keen to take action to address both of those linked crises at the same time. So reducing emissions and restoring nature in Rugby, because the two go hand in hand and we can't solve one without the other. We need to do them together. So we'll be prioritising both in our action plan. And we're really, really keen to engage with all of our residents on this. It's a journey that we all have to take together, and we need everyone to come on that journey with us. So I wanted to say a few words about our journey so far. So like many other local authorities, our journey began when we declared a climate emergency in July 2019, and we quickly set up a cross-party member working group to decide on those immediate actions which we needed to do and to set the council's strategic direction. We appointed some consultants to help us get an emissions baseline so we know where we are now and where we need to get to over the next 8 years to 2030 and beyond. And then our climate change ambitions were further clarified in our new corporate strategy, which we adopted in February 2021. And climate change was one of 4 priority outcomes identified to guide all of the council's future work. And we also included commitments to improving biodiversity across the borough. And we recognised that we needed to better understand the views of our communities and to engage with them about our net zero plans. And we wanted to reach out and hear the views of businesses, residents, voluntary groups and others. So we decided to host a climate summit late last year, where we had a really informative conversation and we were able to listen to the strength of feeling amongst our local residents, businesses and other groups for action on climate change and nature recovery. And we also set up a dedicated microsite called Rugby Net Zero, where we're providing information for residents about our climate plans and also how they can take action to reduce their emissions. We also delivered a residents' survey so that we could understand better how local people felt about taking climate action. And we got over 600 responses to this. And it was really interesting, the findings of that, because we found that 94% of respondents were concerned about the impact of climate change or biodiversity loss. So that's, virtually everyone wants to see something done about this. And it also interestingly highlighted that 47% of residents felt that they understood climate change a little or not at all. So I think that really showed to us that we've got an education challenge on our hands as well to raise awareness of what we need to do and why. And then we also looked at our senior leadership team and we appointed both a councillor climate change champion for Rugby, that's me, who's going to help to raise the profile of climate action amongst members and residents. And we've also got a lead officer, Dan Green, who's here today, who's our Deputy Executive Director. So having two members of the senior leadership team jointly responsible for delivering on climate change is really important to show leadership and to drive the change that we need. And partnerships as well is a really, really important aspect. So whilst we're developing our climate change strategy, which I'll come on to talk a little bit about later, we're also taking action right now because delivery in this decade is just so important. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of the things that we've been doing. One really key thing that we've done, which I think has made a real difference, and I hope it will over time as well, is we've introduced a climate change and environmental impact assessment for all the decisions that the Council and Cabinet make going forward. And this means that it's a key driver for all the decisions we take, and it's embedding consideration of climate change and biodiversity loss across everything that we do. So it's like a green thread, if you like, through all of our council business. And at the same time as we've done this, we've started to upskill both officers and members. So we're offering comprehensive climate training programs to everyone in a bid to increase the knowledge. Because if you're having to take action on this, we think it's really important that everybody understands why and why it's so important and what needs to happen. And one project that we're doing at the moment that I just wanted to specifically highlight about how we've embedded climate change across that is we're regenerating some of our high-rise blocks at Bayard Place, and we're creating new homes for social rent. So we've made sustainability a key priority in the development of that project. One example of this is we've decided not to put the development onto the gas grid. We're just going to go straight onto heat pumps. We're also looking at things like including solar PV and space for wildlife and access to nature. And we're also working with our planning teams about ideas about how to reduce the number of parking spaces, things like car clubs, thinking creatively about how to drive down car use in that development. One key area as well we've taken action on is to do with funding. And we've set aside ring-fenced funds in our budgets to deliver our net zero vision. We've still got work to do on that because obviously it's an ever-evolving thing. But we've flagged it up in our budgets as something that we know is coming in the next few years. And we've begun to retrofit our houses as well. We've got about 3,500 social rented homes. And we're carrying out an audit, first and foremost, to see where we are now in terms of energy efficiency and where we need to get to in order to make all of our properties net zero. And that sounds like an awful lot, but actually it's just the start of everything. So what we're doing next, and what is our main focus of our climate working group, is developing our climate change strategy and action plan. This is actually fully drafted now, and it's setting out our approach to delivering, championing and supporting the transition to net zero in Rugby. We're going to be consulting on this immediately after the elections, and we're really, really keen to hear from residents and partners about what they think about our strategy and if it includes all the things that they've been talking to us about over the last year. And in advance of that public consultation, we've done some early consultation with key stakeholders, just getting their views and entering into a dialogue with them. And we really want to ensure that we've listened to everybody and it's a truly joined up and collaborative approach. But of course, it's not a straightforward process, and a number of the speakers earlier have talked about the challenges they face, and I just wanted to flag up some of the challenges we're facing as well. A practical challenge is the fact that Rugby itself, as a council, is only responsible for about 1% of the borough's overall emissions. So how do we help to reduce the other 99% of the emissions? And how can we take that leadership role to inspire people to make the changes that need to happen? And then in Rugby, we've got a really high level of industrial emissions. They account for about 61% of emissions. So again, that's going to involve collaboration with industry to see how we can get those emissions down in the future. And we're acutely aware of the cost of living crisis and the energy price crisis at the moment. So we really want to focus on those vulnerable residents and make sure that the action we're taking to reduce emissions doesn't disproportionately impact them and their lives. And actually, some of the changes that we can make, particularly around energy efficiency, can actually help to reduce bills for vulnerable people and give them warmer homes as well. So we see it as a win-win and a positive situation. And for us in Rugby, biodiversity is a key challenge as well. We're one of the most sort of biodiverse depleted areas, actually. I haven't got the exact figures, but we've got very, very low tree coverage in Rugby Borough. So we really want to do more to help that. And we've been working with the Wildlife Trust on that. And then things like the risks from extreme weather events, we're already seeing a lot of flooding happening. Again, what measures can we put in place? We need to work with our planning teams. We need to work with central government, make sure our national planning policy framework is fit for the future and fit for a net zero future, and that we're not building homes that aren't. And then I think really finally, a huge barrier is funding and capacity, and we'll certainly be lobbying central government for more funding for local authorities. We did actually apply for the Social Housing Decarbonisation Fund recently because we wanted to retrofit some of our properties and we didn't get it, we weren't successful, which is really disappointing, and we really, really want to get the next round. So we'll definitely be lobbying. We've been thinking of other creative ways to raise funds as well. We're investigating issuing a council climate bond, which can involve the local community in being invested in the investments that we're making. And there's a new UK infrastructure bank, which has just been set up, which has funding available for local authorities. We're also investigating options there as well. So I think the overall message from Rugby is that we're doing a lot, we've got a lot more to do, but collaboration is really, really key in this, and we need to bring everyone along in the journey. And that's why it's great to be here today, because we can all work together and share our ideas, and we've already picked up some really good ideas. So that's just a slide showing our emerging approach of our strategy, but I think in order to conserve time, I won't go into too much detail on that. So thank you for listening. We're really excited about the journey ahead.